Hey y'all, Big Z, hope everyone's doing good. And as always, thank you for your continued support of my channel and my work. The thumbs up and the comments, I greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna make this quick. We got a big storm coming in. It just got done raining and I'm getting chewed up by the no-see-ums out here. But I did a video last week on the connection between Iran, Israel, and the USS Enterprise. And about 5 minutes after I put it up, I got contacted and said, hey, you gotta look at some other issues here. So I immediately took it down and did a lot of research and kind of held off a little bit here because looking to see exactly what's going on. And we had to go to Naval News and to some direct sources to make sure what we're saying is true. The connection between Israel, Iran, and the Enterprise. I want to say this. I did not serve in the Navy. My grandfather did, naval aviator. Although he did not serve on the Enterprise, for some reason I had a very special place in my heart for that vessel. I had my training partner spend time on the Enterprise. And I'm a 250-ton master captain USCG, so I've had quite a few days at sea, but that boat's like 1,000, I don't know what the length is, but the beam on that boat's 267 feet. It's wider than the longest boat I ever operated. Thing is amazing. But anyway, so the Enterprise was due to be decommissioned, and it's one of the carriers in the 3 in the class, the Nimitz class, that operate on nuclear reactors. So they had some options. One was to dismantle the vessel, which is extremely expensive. But most people wanted it turned into a floating museum, and it would have been up in Mayport up there in Jacksonville, which would really been cool, but they decided not to do it, and they had an option C that came out. So 15 years ago, there were some people, we believe they were Naval SEALs, people in Naval Intelligence, and people in the know, put a video out, a very well put together video, documentary on them with the possible attempt. They made a decision to use the Enterprise and scuttle that vessel in the Strait of Hormuz as a pretense for war. And you say to yourself, Big Z, that's fucking crazy. We would never do such a thing. No, we wouldn't, would we? We won't talk about Operation Gladio or Operation Northwoods, or we won't talk about the pretext for war in Vietnam, where we had the people with these noses right here bomb the living shit out of the USS Liberty in the Gulf of Tonkin, and they couldn't sink the vessel, but it was the pretense to go to war, and we ended up finding out what that was all about. Or World War II, where we had our aircraft carrier sitting in Pearl Harbor where they couldn't get out, and they bombed the shit out of them as a pretext for us to go into World War II, which we did. And we know beforehand the knowledge was there, all run by those Masons who run everything, and the enormous cost of life and that horrible event that they allowed to happen as a pretense for war. And we look at World War I, where we had the bombing of the Lusitania by a submarine, where Germany begged and begged, don't you bring that fucking cruise liner into those shipping lanes, because we were leaking information that we were putting munitions on it to support their other countries, and you know the whole fucking story. So we have a long fucking history of doing this. So they looked at the possibility of doing it, but it didn't happen. And that's in the U.S. Enterprise right now is being scrapped. I think they just took the deck elevators out last week. So what does that have to do with what's taking place now? Well, there are 3 ships that were in that class, Nimitz class, that I think they were all nuclear reactor subs, the Eisenhower and the Nimitz. Now the Eisenhower is at dock right now in Norfolk, but the Nimitz was in the Red China Sea or off the Philippines, and take a wild fucking guess where it is right now. Now this vessel is our oldest one. It's due to be decommissioned later this year and scrapped, but for some reason it's seen active duty. And why we're not using all of our new fucking carriers, I don't know, but guess where that fucking thing is right now? Strait of Hormuz. Whoa, would that be something? Huh. So is this Enterprise 3.0? Are we looking at possibly doing this? And we hear all this talk about the possible blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. And if we were to take that fucking vessel that's, I don't know how long, but anyway, people say, well, the Strait of Hormuz is 22 miles wide. Yeah, but only less than a mile that is deep enough for super tankers to pass through. So scuttle that vessel in there, and we know what happens when nuclear reactors interact with salt water, like Fukushima. We got a major fucking catastrophe. And shipping lanes, and that stops, and you know the domino effect after that. And bringing that up, and the reason I'm going to race through that, because the clouds are getting really dark really fast, is that if they were going to do that, they wouldn't do it from attack from air, because that would take out flight decks. It may not scuttle the vessel. It would be a hull breach, and that would be done by a submarine. And that would be so easy, because there happens to be subs in the Strait of Hormuz right now. Wow. Be easy to blame that on another country, wouldn't it? I'm not saying I have any information to support that. I'm just saying, hey, we have a history of this shit, and the best thing that we can do as a people to say, hey, if you're thinking about this, want you to know we're watching you. Don't you fucking do it. We got 5,000 sailors on that vessel, and I don't want one loss of life. And it would be a catastrophe if something like that took place, and the domino effect would be unfucking fathomable. While we only get about 25% of our petroleum from over there, China and Russia, I understand, get most all of theirs. And they would be in some deep shit. And you say, ha ha ha, for them. Yeah, well, if they find out that this was something we had a part of, we got fucking a major war then. And then down the road, you got the UN going after us saying, hey, US committed war crimes. One world government, here we go. And wouldn't it be nice for the US to have, if we had to say ration fuel because we couldn't get our, enough, and wouldn't that be nice for Ford and Chevy, who have fucking seas of these fucking vehicles, shitmobiles that nobody wants, and where those two companies, Ford and GM, each lost over $1 billion the last 2 years in a row because nobody wants that fucking crap. And then, of course, if we did that, we'd have a big sale in battery-operated vehicles, and then we would need more lithium, wouldn't we? And let's see, where would we find lithium? Oh, how about Tabletop, North Carolina, where hurricanes just came through and wiped the whole fucking place out. Nobody lives there, and they approved mining rights, and they're on their way to take out what we believe is the largest lithium deposit on fucking Earth. Wow, where BlackRock and these companies invested heavily, and wouldn't it be a solution to some problems and moving along the battery-operated life that they're heading us all towards? And yeah, would be something, wouldn't it? So many things I want to talk about here, and who and why they do this, but this is their modus operandus. And again, I'm going to end it because it's going to downpour here in a second. Best thing for us to do is to let them know, hey, we're watching everything you fucking psychopaths do. If it's something you've even thought about, don't you fucking do it. Don't you fucking do it. We've had enough being drugged into too many fucking conflicts that weren't ours. We don't want no part of it. Sorry, bugs. Anyway, I'm gonna make it quick. I'm gonna end it there. I got some videos I shot on Megan Walsh. It's really, really important. And the conflict that's going on between Almond and Miss Vision and those other channels. And I was really pissed off the way they treated Almond. And I've held off, but I'm not going to. And I'm gonna fucking unload. Anyway, again, thanks again. Oh, you can see the bruising in my arm. I've had another bicep rupture and a shoulder partial AC level 2 up here, and I had a huge injury in my leg, and so I've been out for a little bit. And anyway, but I'll get through it. And again, thanks everybody for your continued support. I'm sorry I hadn't put much content up, but I really wanted to think this one through and make sure that I'm not saying anything that's not true with inaccurate information, especially something that's this severe. If you got family or friends that are in the Navy, maybe let them know, hey, have you heard about this? This is maybe something we don't, talk, get it out there. Let's put it out there in threads, and just if they are watching, to see if we are watching them, let them know, yeah, we are watching you. Anyway, as always, love you, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.